Hello one and welcome to a new video. Today we are filming episode 15 of series I have finished, if I'm not incorrect. And in every episode we cover the next 15 series that I finished since the last episode. So this is series from the 17th of June until the 5th of July, which is a very short period of time. That is less than a month. Usually I spend maybe like 3 to 4 months on one episode because I spent months finally finishing something, but I have been on a roll because I've been reading from the piles on my floor things I want to get rid of and finishing up all those series so I could get rid of them. So that is what I've been doing and focusing on a lot the last 3 months, which is why there's so many. Proud of myself, but there is a lot of hair that I am getting rid of. Let's start with the first series, which is Bone Grace by Catherine Purdy. This one consists of Bone Crier's Moon and Bone Crier's Dawn. This one follows 3 POVs. We have 2 girls who are like best friends, sisters, etc. And they, in their life, they are like bone grazers, so they kill like creatures and get the bones and powers from the bones. And I also need to go to this ritual where there's someone like the love of their life, and I need to kill them after, I think, getting a baby, if I remember correctly. And then we follow the dude point of view whose father went to this ritual and died, and he wants to find the bone grazers and kill them because he wants revenge, etc. And then this story develops from there, where he kidnaps one of them and then is trying to get revenge, but then maybe finds out that there's more to this than he thinks. I really like this. I really like the relationship between the 2 girls. They were very much like sisters and best friends. There was very little miscommunication between them, which I kind of hate between people who are supposed to be super good friends and know each other. I really like the romance. I like the building of the world and how these bone grace things worked and more added layers to the story, etc. I especially really like the first one. The second one wasn't as good to me. I feel like it didn't add that much to the story, and I think that when you have a series, you need to unravel more in the world, not less in the world as you go forward. And I feel like we repeated a lot of the things in book 1 in book 2. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the series overall. I think it is one of the stronger YA duologies or YA fantasies in general I read recently, coming out in the recent years. So it was enjoyable and I finished it. I borrowed them both in the library and I don't think I need to own it, but I'm proud that I don't need to own everything anymore. So yay. Then we have the series Unstoppable by Cherry Jane Anders. As you can see, I have the first book here, but I did not buy the rest. I borrowed them at the library. And this one is a sci-fi adventure. We go out into space and collect this kind of group of people. It is very queer and a bit chaotic, etc. I read and bought the first one when I read all the things for, I think there was Nebulas years back, 2 or 3 years ago. That was when I bought all the books I was going to read for a vlog, which is insane to say, but I did. And then obviously I do complete the series, especially if I own them. But then I didn't really particularly like it. I felt it was too chaotic and I felt like it didn't go into depth of the things that I wanted it to. And I felt the same about the rest of the series, where we'd go further into the universe. And because of that, I'm not going to keep this, even though I do think that they had some good messages and I do think it had some good characters. It just wasn't enough for me to be completely invested in it. But I have completed the series and I just didn't love it and it wasn't for me. Then I finished a YA romance trilogy, which I feel like is not that often for me. We have the Loveboat trilogy, starting off with Loveboat Type A that came out a few years ago, and it follows this young girl that her parents want her to be a doctor and they want her also to connect more with her culture, so they send her to Loveboat, which is supposedly a place where you're supposed to learn more about your culture and the language, but it is really a place where people party and they find their true loves, and it's a dating place more than anything else. There is so much drama involved in this, and our main character doesn't want to be a doctor. She wants to be a dancer, and her parents are very traditional and it's you need to be a doctor, etc. It is a nightlife runs non-stop. There is a lot of drama. So much drama. It is almost a bit over the top, but it is very fun. And I liked it, even though there were parts of it where I was this is a lot. The second one follows another couple in the series, as well as the third one follows another couple. Again, they all go to Loveboat or is connected to Loveboat in different ways. And I overall enjoyed the series a lot. I listened to all of them on audio as well and do recommend that. It was a good ride. It is a few years ago since I read this now, so I feel I don't know how I will have felt about this now, but this one obviously I read now last month and came out very recently. And I felt the drama was lessened down a bit and it is more focused on actual more of the culture culture, and I think like the romance falls into many tropes that I enjoy. So overall, an enjoyable series that is a lot about finding yourself. And I was gonna say it's a lot about also dreams, like because in the first one we have a dancer, in this one we have a like fashion designer, or like one is passionate for fashion, and in the last one we have a musician. So they're all like different kinds of dreams that are not traditional, and I love following your dreams, even though I'm not doing that myself, but I love reading about it so I can live rigorously through it. We then have The Last Binding by Freya Marsk. This one is a historical fiction fantasy trilogy, and it is very, very queer. We have one like dude couple here, and then we have a girl couple here, and then we have another dude couple here. And it is like magical, like mystery kind of we are doing as well, and it is set in Edvarian times. I didn't love it. I thought I would, honestly, which is why I own the whole thing, but I am like unhauling them because I don't feel the need to keep them. But it was a ride with these characters. I did like not care that much for the relationship. I think I liked at least the second and third more than the first, but overall like wasn't invested in like the plot and the story didn't speak to me in any regard. But I liked that it was square and like the setting is fun, but yeah, it was not at all for me. Then I finished The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. So I have the first one, and then I read the second, and then like the short story collection. I borrowed them at the library. This first one, it follows this girl that finds out about like the hinterlands, which is basically where like we have like fairy tales and stuff, and she is from there, but didn't you know she was from there, or her mother is from there or something. And it's a lot about like her coming back there and like finding out about hinterlands. It is like very like fairy tale-esque because of like this fairy tale's place. But overall I didn't love it when I first read it. It is a stunning book, but I like was not into it. I think the second book was a waste of ink. I did not enjoy that, and I didn't enjoy the like even the short story collection. Well, I feel like that should have been the one to enjoy because it's like the actual tales where like we have all these creatures and where they live, etc. But I couldn't fall for that either, which is a bit sad. So this has to go, but I did finish the series. I then finished the trilogy Atlas by Olivia Blake. This one starts out with Atlas 6, and it follows the 6 people that are chosen out to be candidates to be part of the secret Alexandrian, I can't say that word, society, where like basically they have access to a lot of knowledge in the world. They also have like different kinds of abilities. You have an empath, we have a path, we have like people who can control like the space around them, etc. And there's a lot about them. Like we go into their heads, we follow all of the POVs and like how they're competing against each other. And then the first one especially I absolutely loved and gave it 5 stars. It's one of my favorite reads of all time, honestly. And like the plot twists, the characters, it was perfect combo. The second and third, it all kind of falls apart a bit. I was immersed and completely lost in this one, and in the second one I really always wanted to build more on that, and I felt like we never actually did. And the third one I feel like it fell apart a bit. That doesn't mean I hated it, but like we went from a 5 to a 3 star, which I feel like is sad. But I do still want to maybe reread to see like if it's the problem me, I don't know. But a lot of people didn't enjoy the third book, which I think is a real sad thing because it was honestly so amazing, the first one. But I finished it. A part of me wants to think of this as a standalone, but I overall was so shocked that I loved Atlas 6 so much in the first place, because I honestly thought that I wouldn't, because it just seemed like it seemed too smart for me, and it was smart and beautiful and clever, and I loved how it was written, and I honestly get gushy thinking about it. But the second and third did like some of the love away from me, but I still love the idea of it overall. Then I finished Saga of the Unfaded, which is by Danielle L. Jensen. I don't have the second one yet, but I bought it in the library, and I have bought a matching edition to this one, which is the Fairloot edition. This one is like more of a northern mythology fantasy romance duology, and it does follow a main character that finds out that she's a shield maiden. She has special powers and she needs to marry this, I was gonna call him like kind of Viking king, but then she falls for his son instead, and then like there's more secrets and more things they need to fight, etc. Like, I love Bridge Kingdom. For some reason that series haunts me and I love it a lot. And this one I was expecting to love as much. I didn't fall for it as much. I didn't connect with the characters, etc. But I did find the world cool, and I did like the build up between the romance, etc. I just still felt I wasn't connected to it as deeply. However, I listened to Bridge Kingdom on audio, so that maybe has to do with that it was a really good audio. So maybe what I need to do is reread this on audio another time, but I would definitely keep it and maybe reread when I feel like it. I was also, at the time when I read the first one, I was very much tired of like Viking stuff and Viking settings, so that also might have affected my enjoyment of the story. I then finished the Androma Saga. I only own the first one, which is Seen It, and then the second one is Nexus by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. So this one is a sci-fi adventure. We have a several POV story. We have this all-girls crew that is on the run because our main character is like the Baroness, bloody Baroness something, and she's like on a run, and then she's hired in to save this prince, and she meets a guy from her past, and it's very dramatic. Honestly, I thought I would hate it, and I didn't hate it, but I wasn't particularly loving it either. It was like a fine standard YA sci-fi, felt like a fantasy BBR in space, and then the second book just brings this together, and it didn't really bring any surprises or wasn't like shocking my pants off or anything. I honestly thought, the way people were talking about it, that it was like the most terrible book ever written, and it wasn't. But it doesn't mean that I was not in love with it either, and I am unhauling it, even though it's really pretty and purple. But I don't want to buy the second, and I don't feel like owning the first without the second, so there's that. And I don't think I'll ever reread, but I did read it and it was fine. Then I read Renegades, as well as its sequels Arc Nemesis and Supernova, that I borrowed in the library because this was in the piles and I wasn't sure if I would like it. We have Superhero Supervillain Society, we have the Renegades, who are the, yes, they're like the heroes in the society, and then we have our main character Nova, who is an anarchist, and they are like against the Renegades and wants to kill them. Bit like The Boys, bit like Recklers, like Brandon Sanderson, but it has these elements where she is gonna infiltrate the Renegades, and then she's also like a known super villain, but I don't know that she is that person, and then it all comes together. I did find part of it very entertaining. Like, it was a really fast-paced read that it went really quickly by. I think like if I read it a couple of years ago when I was on my superhero shit, I would have loved it, but now as I read it to this day, it was just fine. Like, it didn't bring to me enough complexity and like things that made me like, ooh, super into it, but it had some good plot twists and it had some good moments, and it was like fun and entertaining. I would definitely like see, I could recommend it to people that want a fast-paced, entertaining read. But overall, I'm fine with unhauling it and not owning the rest. And I finished it finally after all these years, after just having it on my shelf for 100 years. Then, after a really long time, I did finish Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. And then I have also its sequels, Queen of Ruin. So I own this in the Fairly edition, but the standard UK edition is not in hardback. So I have this in paperback and this in hardback, because this was the Fairly edition. And then I didn't get it in the sale of when they sold this, which is now fine, honestly. But it does follow these two sisters. One goes to court, one goes to this island where she needs to survive, and then they bring the revolution together. So as I just read this, didn't really care for the story much, didn't really give much. It goes exactly where you think it's gonna go. But when I read this, it was okay, but now I'm just like, I don't need to keep this. Then I finished a big hyped series, which is Letters of Enchantments. So we have Divine Rivals and Ruthless Woes by, or Wows maybe, by Rebecca Ross. This one follows these two people that write letters to each other, and then are kind of rivals at work, but I don't know that the other one they're writing to is that person. And it's set in kind of like a First World War setting, and like the gods awakening and coming back, etc. It is a love story through letters initially, and then like obviously they find out who the other is, and it goes where you think maybe it's gonna go. The second one does the same thing again because of reasons. It did one of my least favorite tropes, and then we had to repeat book one. And I know it's supposed to be like a beautiful epic love story, blah 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 blah, but I just wasn't all into it. I am gonna keep it for now, and I am thinking maybe to reread it on audio in a few years, but I like the design of the books, and I feel like I liked parts of it, but it felt more like a First World War love story than a fantasy book than anything else, and I don't know if that is my favorite thing. So I felt very like disappointed because I thought I would love them. I didn't hate them though, I gave them like a 3, but still. Then we have the Queen of Hearts Saga, which is a little YA fantasy trilogy. This is obviously an Alice in Wonderland retelling where we follow like the origins of the Queen of Hearts, and then we go out on a journey of how she ends up where she is when she meets Alice. I did find it a very fast-paced read. They are really short books with really, oh god, I murdered it, with a lot of text in them. Very little text in them is what I was trying to say. Like, look at the spacing, it is insane actually. I was like, wow. Even though I read the ebooks, but they went by so fast as well. It had parts of it that was cool. I just feel like at this point, I don't care that much for Alice in Wonderland. Like, I don't have anything against Alice in Wonderland, but like, I don't know if I care that much about the original story to like read the whole retelling and be like, oh my god, and like find the clues and find stuff that I care from the original story. But that doesn't mean it was bad. It had some, as I said, like fun, like twists and things it used from the original story, but it goes where you think it's gonna go, because we're gonna end up on Queen of Hearts, so like, you know, the ending to the whole thing. And for me, it didn't add anything that made me like, oh my god, amazing, wow. But it doesn't mean it was bad. It was just like a bit okay. And I am unholding it, but I own it for really many years, and I'm excited for myself that I have now read them. Then I finished another duology, which is the Empress of 1,000 Skies by Rhoda Belleza. This, I read the first one finally when I did my Fearless vlog last year, but I owned them for years and years and years. And we have Princess that was the only survivor of like this royal bloodline, and she's been on the run, and now she's gonna take her kingdom back. I feel like the plots for some of these, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over without meaning to, but that is what we got, and then it goes exactly where you think you're gonna go. Again, feel like it wasn't anything that stood out to me, so I am fine with holding them even after owning them for so long. We're gonna take back the throne, and it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing either. Now I feel like I have been negative Nelly, but we have now a duology that I very much enjoyed, which is Threads That Bind by Kika Hatupolo. This is a Greek mythology inspired fantasy, and it follows a main character who is like the descendant of the Fates. She can cut threads. She has two siblings. One can create threads, and the last one can what? What could she do then? One cuts, one creates. What does the last one do? I have forgotten in a moment. But she can see these threads, and she also knows that she has a fate thread to connect it to this boy, and they have been fated together this whole time, and she's been avoiding him, but now they need to work together because murders are happening. There's also been revolutions, etc., and things going in the background in this world against the gods that haven't been seen in a really long time. And I think like the world that the author created, especially using like Greek mythology and like the way we discover more in the world as we go forward, was really great. I actually liked the characters, and I liked the mystery that had a good plot twist, and I was interested in the romance. So overall, I had a really good time. I did just read the second book, obviously, because that's why it's like further down on the list. I did think that the ending was slightly rushed. I would love to have 20 more pages to settle in the end there, but I hope that the author will write more in this world, because she made a really good one. As I said, I like the characters. I think they all had really good personalities and added different things to the story. So overall, very much enjoyed this one, and would definitely recommend. I listened to an audio of both of them, and I really enjoyed it. The last series we have here today is Passengers by Alexandra Bracken, another YA duology. This is one with time travel, and I did not enjoy it. I wasn't invested at all. I didn't care for a single thing. I noticed in chapter 2 that this book was not for me. I still read through the whole thing, and I have nothing to tell you because there was nothing in it for me. But I own it for many years. I cannot get rid of them, and maybe I later has realized that Alexandra Bracken is maybe not the author for me, but I still have The Darkest Minds, which is a white dystopian, so there's hope in there somewhere, maybe. That was the latest 15 series I read. Or not the latest, that's a lie, because on the next list I already have 10, so another episode might be coming soon. But even though I film it, I space it out, so it might come later or something. That is what I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed me going through some seriousness. Leave a 3 down below, because that was like the last book, if you enjoyed this. And you should see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!